can't listen to you, Mom and Dad, because you're not in alignment with me.
So they won't. They'll shut down.
And the younger generation are fighting their parents.
Because the parents are behind schedule.
And the parents think it's their children because the children are behind schedule.
And it's only because of their age that they will not be taken seriously. Don't dare question your elders. Why? If my elder is a fucking retard, I should be able to question it. Yeah. Thanks.
And we have been ingrained and taught that
age has nothing.
The younger, the less you know.
Mm-hmm. You're to be seen and not heard. Really.
Oh my God.
I'm going to suggest you sit the fuck down and shut up for a bit. Mom.
That's how I learned
Dad.
to eat.
See?
The adults came and said,
this is where
to be seen and not heard. You'll eat last.
This is where the spiritually confused, dead in their transgressions, our parents' generation completely missed the boat. Their entire purpose was to birth our generation. That was it.
Bring it to life. That's it.
They provided absolutely no confidence.
Shut up and sit down.
In anything that they did. That entire generation.
Not too long ago.
So moms and dads need to understand. They need to be humbled. That's standing in a fire, admitting to your child that you're with fault. Admitting to your child that you're probably more advanced than...
Less advanced.
That their child is more advanced than you are.
And that you were programmed. Here's the thing. Don't beat yourself up. You were programmed to think your children know less. That was by design. So go to your children. They will remember this. Hey, I'm sorry.
Start a new agreement.
Start a new agreement with your little you, with your children.
I couldn't understand why no adults in my life got any of this stuff. I was baffled, and I looked and I searched and I seeked. I didn't ask a lot of questions, but I just observed, and my questions were answered. I had never seen such a shallow, fixated on money, go do your 2 or 3 habitual whatever it is that you do just to pass the time while you're complaining most of the way through. There's not a lot of happiness and joy. There's some superficially out there, but it's the same as everybody else is doing, so there's nothing special here. This is all just wash, rinse, repeat
it's
programming.
About comparing. They taught you to compare.
Yep. So I didn't know a single adult when I was a kid that was worthy of my time. Not one. So I shut up. And I sat down and I just paid attention and I was patient.
And patient you are.
So again, age has nothing to do with it. Mm-mm. Your spiritual maturity has got nothing to do with a number.
But the younger, the more aligned. Be clear.
Because they're less programmed.
Source does not bring in anything that is less aligned with where we have to go. Beings coming into this world are not going to align and come online if they're of a lesser frequency than they're supposed to be, or what is needed for the collective.
So a parent will think that they are putting themselves in a subservient position and allowing or entitling their children to stand in a dominant position for just a moment. A lot of parents are afraid of that because they don't have a lot of confidence. Because
they think it's disrespectful.
They think it's disrespectful. But you know what? That's programming. If you've done a fantastic job with your child, you should honor anything coming out of their mouth, would you not?
Out of the mouth of babes, the Bible speaks of.
Right? So then again, why are we told to be seen and not heard? That coming from a lunatic, I showed no respect for it at all. Zero. Teachers, coaches, parents, and all of them. And Dean can tell you stories. I've got a lot of them. Like I said not long ago, our dad died not long ago, resenting Dean and I for what we've done. It's like, all you had to do is probably go spend an hour out of the last 30 years to go research any of the shit Dean and I talk about. But nope, you sat there and you belittled and you didn't give it a shake at all. So therefore,
You were judged.
if you were that closed-minded and hearted, how could I respect anything coming out of your mouth or out of your state of being? If you had, like, again, spent not even an hour, if you spent 15 minutes doing a little bit of oogling and googling, you could come across a fair bit of stuff. But no, he didn't respect us enough to spend 15 minutes of his life
or
over 30
he was
years.
just more in his belief system.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm saying. So that
he was programmed more.
that entire generation was programmed more, and a
by
lot of us,
design.
and a lot of us are almost within that age category. So all we're suggesting here, loved ones, is if you're having a problem with your daughter, tell your daughter you're full of fault. Tell your daughter you're full of sin. Tell your daughter you're full of confusion. Tell your daughter
You've been doing the best you can, but you're learning new tools.
yes. Start off with a whole new energy. Why keep kicking the same shitty energy day after day after day with no fucking results? Or
Doing
those
the same thing
or
over and
those,
over.
Or those results are getting shittier and they're breaking down a little more every day. Why is that happening?
What's the definition of a
Insanity.
lunatic?
So
An insanity.
that's why we got to change our perspective. Take a step back.
And do something different.
Do something different. This is humbling yourself in any situation. I don't care what the situation is. If it's with your boss, oh, sorry, boss, I've just been doing the best I can, and if that's not good enough, then I guess we'll need to discuss that further.
Or you know what? Just give me a moment. I'm just going to go. I'm going to realign myself. Or I'm just going to go and give myself a space to be able to get to a higher vibration where I can deal with this.
And once you get good at it, you can do that on the fly, in your own mind and in your heart without even vocalizing it. You can do it. You can feel it right then and there. If you're in a hostile situation, what's the best thing to do? That depends on the individual. I worked in a bar as a bouncer for over a year. I got into hundreds of fights. But yet, I didn't even have to throw a punch. I would get right into the middle of a fight and I was able to talk them out of it when they were in a drunken rage. Why is that?
Because you could soul them.
The power of the words, stand in your fire, admit some fault, level the field, come down to them for a brief second
Fill their cup.
so that they trust you, and once you have their trust, work with it.
Everyone's just desperate for feelings, energy,
Yeah.
love.
We've been so starved of it, as soon as we get any form of it, we just fucking all jump on it, whether it's good or bad. We almost
We're
can't
under the influence of spirits.
we almost can't even distinguish the difference. We just are attracted to it because it's some type of energy source.
And Darren was a different energy source than the source that these loved ones at the bar were feeding from.
So yeah, with the command of your presence, you can totally de-escalate a situation if you're in control. If you're coming at
Let's not use control.
if you're coming at the situation, if you're coming at the hostility and all you're doing is mirroring hostility, what's that going to result in? Peace? Show me where that has happened. No. You diffuse the hostility by taking a step back.
And come with peace in your own heart.
And that takes more courage than you think.
Don't come telling other people where they have to have peace in their heart when yours is at war.
Show them how you failed them. I failed you, daughter, through my inability to express and experience and convey the following.
I don't have words for this.
I've been a shitty mother. I haven't told you because I haven't told you this loving something something. I haven't shown you that loving something
Because
something
I don't know how to do it for myself.
in years. So I understand.
Or ever.
I understand why you can't trust me.
And as you should.
And as you should. Take a step back and change your tactical approach.
It should be the opposite of what you're doing if you're doing repetitive behavior. Let's say it again. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, that's a definition of insanity. So maybe we suggest you do something different. Opposite. Spirit's actually saying, whatever you've been doing, if it's not working, do the complete opposite. There's actually an episode on Seinfeld about this.
I haven't seen it.
And George actually, he has such bad luck. He goes, you know what? I'm actually going to start doing the complete opposite of everything I think I should do. And he starts being brutally honest with people. Going, you know what? Look, I have no job. I'm going nowhere. But hey, here's who I am. And this is what I have. And these women would throw themselves at him.
Because there's the power in the truth. When you come to people with the truth, as soon as you start trying to
they feel safe with you.
As soon as you start making up excuses and bullshit, they sniff right through it, and you are just losing the trust. What would you call it? The building of trust. You're doing very poorly. So come at it with something completely different. This is how we humble ourselves. Practice with your children. They're going to be some of the easiest ones you have to do this with. Why? Because you know them so well. Doing that with humbling yourself and admitting fault in front of complete strangers is actually a little bit harder. You're
much harder in your family, though. The ones you know.
But you know how they're going to react. And when you know, you've never said words like this to daughter or son, whatever the story is.
New language.
When that daughter or son hears a new language, what do you think they're going to do? You know what they're going to do? They're going to be dumbfounded and they're going to break down right there because they don't have the spiritual tools to carry on. All they can do is turn into a little ball of mush. What are they going to do now? Snap and point fingers and say, yeah, Mom, you were shitty. Yeah, Mom, you haven't told me you love me with a sincerity that I actually believed in the last 15 years. These are all things you already know. So how are those things going to hurt your feelings? They can't. All you can do is say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Pretty soon, daughter runs out of ammo real quick. And because you started this conversation with peace, daughter has to follow. She can't keep coming at it with war.
Because she knows it to be truth.
Because it's the truth. Watch how powerful
your fires go.
Watch how powerful that is. All you gotta do is try it. Try it a few times.
Something completely different than what you're doing.
And if you can do it in front of an audience, I'd suggest you do it.
Yep. Stand in your fire.
Grab
Be
daughter.
brave.
Grab
Be
daughter.
naked.
Grab daughter. Grab son. Grab whoever the hell else is around and record it if you have to. Say, listen, everybody, if I'm going to say this, I want you all to hear it so that I don't have to say it again in 15 minutes.
And make sure you come in with a clean and charged cup, loved ones. Don't come in raw.
And that should feel so emotional, you should be on the brink of crying right there. That's how daughter.
Raw,
that's how daughter.
real.
That's how daughter knows you're telling the truth. You're not just bullshitting.
She can feel it.
This is why alcoholic parents are so fucking disconnected. On top of already being disconnected. How do I know this? Dean and I had 2 of them. I know how to deal with that shit. So,
2 of them.
So how do you fill that void? Well, after enough years of observation, you had to learn patience. That's why patience is probably in the top 2 of virtues.
Spiritual tools?
That too.
Well, we're all about building spiritual tools for our loved ones.
You won't be able to build shit if you're not patient.
How so?
You show me a rough carpenter that can frame a house in a weekend, how that same guy can also build a piano. They're 2 different disciplines. If you're trying to build a fine instrument, you're not going to be a bull in a china shop. You're going to take your time. And if you're going to be taking your time, invest in it wisely. Put everything into that moment. Don't hold back. If when I said you should almost be crying, if that turns into crying, so be it. Don't say, oh my God, Darren said I should almost be crying, but not be crying. No. This is where people, scripturally oriented, take so many things literally that they shouldn't, and then they take all the things that they should take literally, they don't. So it's a weird mishmash of total confusion going on. Again, humble yourself, roll into your next conflict vulnerable.
When you talk about patience, how do our loved ones exercise that?
Take your time. Time and observance will equal patience. If you put enough time and enough eyeballs onto a situation, you will see how to react and when to react. You think you can get to the immediate answer? If you're an impatient individual, you will not have the time it takes to polish that rock until it turns into a diamond. You will not have the time to take rough lumber and hand develop it into a piano. You'll be
frustrated.
You'll be frustrated
through.
You'll be frustrated at the very beginning. You don't have the skill to build a piano.
It's not happening fast enough.
So this is why patience is so important. But you gain patience by being truthful. There's another little tidbit. We grow impatient.
And define truth.
We frustrate things when we don't come at it with the truth. When you come at it half-assed, or with you got a whole whack of spider webs that you're trying to maintain in the bathroom, in the background from all your deceit. Why did bathroom get fired into there?
Because you're doing a reno right now.
Yeah, probably. Come at this shit with the truth. You'll be surprised at how efficient it is. You don't need a lot of words.
And your truth sometimes being, I don't know. And that's okay. And as parents, that's okay to say to your kids, I don't know. I just know I need to do better.
This is where our children, they can see right through our 3D charade.
And feel it.
And they feel it, and they kind of just look at us like we're zombies.
Or joke.
So again, how can the zombies relate to an evolved being and expect the evolved being to stay suppressed at the zombie level? No,
and an evolved being that's meant to get lower beings online that aren't. How frustrating is that for them?
The children actually see us making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and then they're like...
And they don't even have language for it. They don't even understand why they're so frustrated internally.
But they see you not learning. They see you not making progress, so they're
and frustrated and angry.
So then they're like, well, then I'm not going to follow that as a role model, as an example. Not a chance. Okay, so
But they have no other feeding source.
So I'm going to look
back and forth you go.
So I'm going to look elsewhere. If my parents don't have that ability, does my Johnny buddy, does his parents have some skills?
Or my new boyfriend?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I can connect to Johnny's mother way more than mine. Why is that? Because Johnny's mother probably doesn't treat me like my mother does. And if you had a fantastic upbringing, this does not apply to you. We're talking about the conflicted parents. We're talking about the miscommunication, the misalignment. Why is there such a generational gap between these two classes of people?
Generations.
These children and the parents of today.
And these generations looking at the newer generation in such, like they're saying, despicable eyes. Like, they are so disgusted, they're saying. When in reality, how can you create a future generation unless it came from you?
And the idea here is to not get hooked up and not got stuck on being pissed off. I raised you. You live under my roof. You'll do this and you'll do that. I work hard 9 hours a day to put food in the fridge. Yeah, the children know that. Stop saying. When people state the obvious and they try to base their argument on the obvious.
You birthed them. Good job, Mom and Dad. The end.
if we were not spiritually ready to provide more, then grab a seat. That's what these classes are all about.
Why do you think your children came in? To enlighten you, not for you to enlighten them. There's a big one for a lot of our loved ones. Again, no lower or younger being comes into a being unless it's meant to enlighten older ones. Are you older? Yes. Then these beings are meant to enlighten you. So subrogate your triggers. Start feeling what they are reflecting to you and meant to teach you. Because if you are irritated or frustrated, you made a soul agreement with them to do such.
Children nowadays, they're really paying attention to parents that stay in control. There's no respect for a parent that loses control. That's not a role model in any regard. So when you fly off the handle, or when you come unglued, or when you get triggered and you just use the same bullshit that you've been using for the last 10 years, that gets really old really quick. And the children just basically start throwing up walls. And they basically start burying themselves. They'll hide in their bedrooms and play with their video games. They'll want literally nothing to do with you. And it's not because you're not cool. It's because you're so disconnected.
You don't get it. You missed it.
And
many times.
You should still have an element where you have more influence over your children than a video game. And when you don't, this is a telltale sign that you got some work to do.
You're not engaging them. You're not activating them.
We are so much more capable than a video game. Or their friends. Again, when we hear, little Sally's having troubles in school because all her friends are doing such and such, and little Sally doesn't want to. So Sally now feels like she's being pressured into doing whatever her friends say. Well, when little Sally puts more regard into her friends than mom and dad, let's say Sally's about, 12 or 13 or 14 or 15, mom and dad should still have enough of a present state of being where they are influential, where they actually have something of value to provide to the child.
Where the child seeks it.
The child will disconnect with you when you cease to bring value to the equation. That's it.
Ooh, that's a big one, parents. If they are seeking counsel outside of you, you are lacking.
It means you got some work to do.
Counsel within you.
So look at that as a blessing. Don't get mad at the children. Look at that as, oh my God,
they're reflecting to me. Holy shit, I'm not counselable.
I'm so grateful that
Counselable?
I am so grateful that I had this opportunity to see and experience this, because now I can go back and tighten up my game.
Instead of impounding and insisting that this child understand how you know it to be, which is dysfunctional. This is the thing, pounding away at your child, poking. Stop it.
And this is what they expect, because they know you're not capable of anything else at this moment.
That's why they're strong.
So now, when you come at this with a different perspective, what did you just do to the situation? Well, you exercised your situational awareness for the first time. You anticipated your adversity's position, and you went right around it. As a matter of fact, you flanked them on both sides with truth and love and honesty right up the middle. Where are they going to run to? You got them.
Flanked. Truth and honesty with love.
All they can do is meet your call and break and embrace your passion, or they will turtle, run the other way, slam the door, and do their little show, their little charade. But you were expecting... Let them have their tantrum. Know how to discipline a tantrum with the proper behavior. Most moms and dads don't know how to do that either. Maybe that's a whole different show that we probably don't need to get into tonight. But
it's a big one, though, because a lot of our little loved ones, of the loved ones we are dealing with, are very much online and holding the space for our loved ones that we are dealing with. And as such, thank you for doing it and for holding this mirror to your parents or to your friends, whoever that might be. And just keep in your own lane. That's
You know what?
big message.
Yeah, of course, keep in your own lane, but you know what? Lead by example. You can, in your lane, look behind you and see a shit ton of headlights following you. Do you know why? Because you know where you're going. And they see that. That's why they're following you. Lead by example. Don't keep doing these same shitty maneuvers over and over and over again, because all you're doing is confusing all the traffic. Again, when you're going to go into an intersection, do you hit the gas as you approach a red light? Is that how you would typically fuel a situation? That's got disaster written all over it. Know when to stop, know when to proceed slowly, and know when to hit the gas. Don't hit the gas until that light's been red for a little while. And you know, well, by the time I get to that intersection, it's got to be green. I'm going for it. Boom. Tom Cruise, Days of Thunder. The pit crew chief says, hit the gas, drive right through the crash. Tom Cruise can't see shit. It's all smoke and car parts and tires flying everywhere. Crew chief says, go right through it. Smash the gas. Tom Cruise does. By the time he gets to it with hitting the gas, the path had been cleared. Tom Cruise comes out the other end, and he's like, oh my God, did that just happen? And crew chief is laughing.
That's your leap of faith, loved ones. All of us have to go through it. And through tonight's council and class, there were many insights, this being among them.